Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. I know it's been a really long time and I thought that my first video should also, reflect why I've been away for a while. If you've been following my channel, you'd know that, last year was actually like by far, the toughest year of my life. I lost my dad, and to be honest, like, grief does different things to you, even though like supposed to be a part of life, but it's just something that it's hard to accept. And for me with grief, it was two things. It was, there was this initial motivation of, there's no time, you have to live your life to the fullest and, go and achieve your goals and do all of that. And on the flip side, there was what's the point of all of this hustle? Like, why are we even, trying if one day like this, you're gone? Like, what's the whole point? And to be honest, like, I think I sat in the pocket I just described for a long time. I just didn't have any will to try to do a lot of things. Like, there were days that, I just, didn't get out of bed. And I would just cry, and I would just, feel so sorry for myself that I was in that position. And even though like some other good things were happening, especially things that I set in motion at the beginning of the year before my dad passed, I couldn't even allow myself to enjoy it, to be honest. And it's been 8 months now, or almost 8 months, and it's still very tough. But as they say, and it is true, life goes on. I just thought that, today I should maybe share some of the things that have, somehow helped me a little bit to continue to, build, even while I'm still grieving, and how I've been navigating this, new chapter of my life. And I think the first thing, which I probably overdid, like I mentioned earlier, was to allow myself to grieve. However, I felt like I needed to grieve. So if it was crying, I would cry. If it was, looking at pictures, I would do that. If it was, listening to like voice notes, then I would do that. Like, I went through a whole process of trying to deal with my grief. And I think it's important that it's not ignored, because it's something that is very jarring, and it changes you. It changes you forever when you lose a loved one. And it took me a while, to get out of that funk, if that makes any sense. I'm not completely out of it, like I said, it changes you forever, but allow yourself to grieve. Don't ignore it. So the second thing that helped me, I would say, would be my small community. And shout out to my sisters especially. Those girls held me down. They were, my rock. I don't know how I would have gone through this whole, phase without my sisters. They were there for me. You would not think that we all lost the same person, because they understood, the relationship I had with my dad and how it was going to affect me the most. And they were just there, like from day one. From the daily phone calls to, giving me space, whatever I needed, they were there for me. It's very important that you have a very supportive community, however small. Even in other aspects of your life. So like at work, for example, my core team, or especially my tech lead, shout out to him, by the way. He was the most supportive person, at work. We had a conversation and I was very vulnerable about how I was feeling. And, it was just like, say no more. And, just not having to worry about some aspects of my work was also a bit relieving. Another thing that was interesting was the fact that at the same time that all of this was happening, some other unfortunate things were happening in my life at the same time as well. So on a normal day, if some of those things were happening when I wasn't grieving or I wasn't so broken the way I was, my survival instinct would have kicked in. Like, I know how I move when things are happening. But my survival instinct was legitimately just staring at me like, are we gonna move? I don't think so. I just couldn't move. Like everything that I was meant to do as a natural reaction to some of these things that were happening, literally I was doing the opposite. I just couldn't move. It took a while, and this leads me to the third thing of, when I was ready, I knew that I couldn't go full throttle. I had to just, start small. I had to just, have a conversation with myself like, okay, so what are the things I can control? What are the things that I can't control? And I started to pick, one problem at a time. I'm not going to solve everything. I didn't even have the bandwidth to solve everything anyways. So, starting small, to try and resolve some of the problems. Also, starting small in terms of reintegrating myself, into the world, as it were. So going out for short walks instead of just sitting indoors, I try to do that. Reaching out to, other people outside of my inner circle, having conversations with them, watching really inspiring movies, listening to podcasts. I did a few things. So if you're going through something like loss, like give yourself, the opportunity to just start small. You need to recognize that you're a different person now, and this new you requires something new, and it might take you a while to adjust to, the new phase you have found yourself. So starting small kind of helped me. Another thing that helped me is, I had to find ways to honor my dad's memory, or, feel like I'm connecting with him somehow. And it could be as simple as, talking about him, reminiscing about the good times, appreciating him more. Some of those things gave me some sort of relief, having this picture in my living room made me feel like, okay, maybe, I can still see his smile, and just little things that ordinarily, like when my dad was alive, I didn't have his picture in my house. But, now that he's gone, I'm looking for like different ways to, still feel like, he's still a part of me, if that makes any sense. So that sort of helped. I'll say the most recent thing that has helped me would be trying to get back to the first thought of, finding meaning and motivation in the loss, and feeling like, hey, you've got to live your life. And even though I'm starting small, I'm happy that I'm somehow, here now where I can slowly start to rebuild, my life again. Like I said earlier, like, you need to recognize that the you before the loss is gone. And it took me a while to acknowledge that. It took me a while to accept that. And, this new me is, how do I continue to find meaning in my life, even with this pain, is the thing that now I am using to try and slowly start to be myself again, if that makes any sense. I just thought to open up about my experience and how I am navigating this new phase of my life. And if there's anyone who's lost someone or who's lost something that they're grieving, because it might not just be a loved one that someone is grieving. It can be grieving like the loss of a job or an opportunity or anything. It's finding little ways to come back to life, whether it's allowing yourself to grieve, leaning on your community, and starting slow again. It's okay. And I just wanted you to know that if you're in this position, I see you, and I'm with you, and I know we can get through this together. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.